Hey, y'all, I know I've been gone for a while and I just wanted to, catch back up and see how everyone's doing. And at the same time, I wanted to talk about the state of AnimeTube. So before we get started, I need to hit that like button and that subscribe button and also the notification bell so we can get up in the algorithm. That's the best way to get the videos to be seen. And if you like us, you can support us also on Patreon if you want to help monetarily. So I don't know if you've noticed, but I love anime. It's one of my favorite mediums. So naturally, a lot of my YouTube time is spent watching anime reviews and anime analysis. But something I have noticed is that AnimeTube is kind of boring at the moment. Not a lot of creators are making their viewers think deeper about the medium. A lot of the creators have decided to play it safe. There are really no hot takes or creative ones. And I get it. It's easier to make content that confirms the biases of your viewer rather than challenge them with new content. You need to get that bag somehow. But at a certain point, you do begin to insult the intelligence of your audience. And people do get tired of hearing the same rehashed conversations over and over and over. A recent example of this is from the Trash Taste podcast.
I feel like I can... do you ever think there's this weird phenomenon now with shows that get really hyped? The animation gets better as the show gets more hype.
What do you mean?
Like, Free Ren is so popular. And in my head, I'm like, I wonder if the animators go harder because they know how popular the show is. Because it's different.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because it's different, right? Like back then, the show was normally animated, and yeah, maybe it's airing on TV, but normally a good chunk of it's animated before it was ever like seen.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's week by week.
Well,
so
I mean,
if you're about to be seen by like a fuck ton of people, and you're an anime, you're like, all right, I'm.
They were talking about anime production, and this is not the first time they brought up anime production. So a lot of people took to Twitter to criticize the fact that they've heard this conversation over and over and over. Some did point out that the boys have all toured animation studios.
So today we are at Studio Trigger because they're producing the Omega Strikers intro animation, which I also voice in, and they're going to give us a behind-the-scenes tour of how some of it was made.
I'm here right now at JC Staff, and I'm going to be walking through the entire process of Combatants Will Be Dispatched.
So I'm here right now at Cloverworks Studios, but I've never been to the studio. I don't know anything about how anime is made, so I need somebody to guide me through this journey that we're going to go through together.
So producer for Orange Studio, Yoshihiro Watanabe, was on episode 155, and they did ask him how long production takes.
Single 20-minute episode of anime. In your experience, how long does that take to make?
So a normal production would say like 3 months.
So either the boys straight up forgot, or they are feigning ignorance for conversation. Either way, it's not a good look, and it does kind of scream laziness. How many times do you have to tour an anime studio or talk to anime producers before you know the situation in the anime industry, especially since they live in Japan and have the access and resources to do so? The anime industry is not in a good place right now, especially for animators, and many fans don't know how bad it is at the moment. So for three people in their positions, they could do a little bit more than speculate. Jujutsu Kaisen is a prime example. The second season had issues throughout the whole season, and Giguk barely mentioned it in his 2023 best of video, and everyone else was radio silent. And look, I know it's not their job to be following everything that's going on in the anime industry. For people who have built their livelihoods off of anime, they're kind of silent when it comes to issues that have to do with the workers and the labor that's being put in the anime. And I think it would have been pretty cool for them to bring on a producer from MAPPA or be able to talk to someone in the industry that knows how bad everything is instead of, glamorizing it. Another issue I do have with that is that they said there was nothing that could be done regarding these issues when there are tons of organizations like NAFCA they could have spoken to, or the Anime Dormitory. The Anime Dormitory actually houses and feeds animators, and they have a Kickstarter that I'll put in the description box below. So for someone with such a small platform as myself, it does irk me to see anime YouTubers with giant platforms saying there's nothing that can be done about the current state of the industry when they can be educating us themselves. Now, I do want to make sure that everyone knows that I do have no issue with Trash Taste. I relatively enjoy it and look forward to every episode each week. But I do think that they could do better, and I think that they should do better because we're talking about something that brings us all happiness, and if it goes away, what are we going to do? My next issue may not make sense to my melanin-deficient otakus, but have you ever noticed that AnimeTube is saturated with white boys? And don't get me wrong, a lot of these creators are good, but AnimeTube is wider than a newly opened Google document. But ego, you say. Giguk is the biggest anime YouTuber, and he's Thai. And to that I say yes. Giguk is the biggest anime tuber, and he is Thai. However, that clearly makes anime content for a broader audience, which means he has to avoid politics as much as he can, and it makes his content neutral and apolitical at best. Don't actually challenge them or bring up difficult conversations that a lot of fandoms need to have. Now, there are not that many black anime tubers that are at the top of these lists, but you can subvert the algorithm by having bigger creators share smaller creators. It's very male, and it's lacking in a lot of diverse voices. Content is generally skewed towards a white male audience. It's not like there aren't any diverse voices in the space either. They're just nowhere near the relevance of people like Joey, Giguk, C-Dog, and we know that's because of the algorithm. My main question is, how in 200 episodes of Trash Taste have they not had one single black person on the show? They've been in America extensively, multiple times, and there's no way they don't know Corey Kenshin, Mark Phillips of RDC World, Sylvanas, or Caleb City, and those are just the big creators. Unfortunately, this is a pattern that's not uncommon in anime fandom, having a white blind side. Black Americans make up about 17% of anime watchers in the US, while only being 13% of the population. And that number goes up higher the younger you get. So why then are the biggest anime YouTubers white or white adjacent? A lot of great discussions are being missed out on the platform, and there's virtually no reason for that to be happening. My ire also isn't just reserved for white anime YouTubers either. I'm getting tired of the hood anime trend. It's kind of starting to get old. Aside from a few creators, there isn't much originality in that space either. And unfortunately, this has to do with more forces outside these creators' control, namely the algorithm. Unlike our white counterparts in the media space, many black entertainers are forced into molds. So a lot of times, black entertainers play into caricatures and stereotypes, just so they can entertain white audiences where the money is. And like I said earlier, get the bag. But it would be awesome to see more black creators who don't have to play caricatures just to get paid attention to. Black people aren't a monolith, and we need more representation for all of us without having to code switch to past white sensibilities. There is a whole new wave of anime YouTubers that are coming up, focused more on anime and anime adjacent content, political deep dives, and just deeper conversations about the medium that go past Goku can beat One Punch Man. There's a lot of new things coming out, and it's very exciting to see. So instead of the old guard gatekeeping, they need to start making room for the new guard. These up-and-comers are coming from various backgrounds, and they deserve to thrive in this space just as much as anyone else. And I'm going to put some of my favorites in the description below. Some are black, some aren't, but all of them are definitely worth checking out. So I hope you like this short video. These are just a couple of my thoughts I had on that about AnimeTube, but that's where y'all come in. Simply like and subscribe to get this video out to a bigger audience, or if you're feeling charitable, head over to the Patreon, and we'll see you next time.